Hey class. Here's the last one. We're going to do a video on spheres. So to find the volume of a sphere, you need to know its formula. And the formula this time around is 4/3. You can remember that the formula for a cone or a pyramid was 1/3. But for a sphere, it's going to be 4/3 times pi times the radius. Now for everything, it's been pi r squared. But for a sphere, it's actually pi r cubed. So keep that little difference straight, you'll be fine. So what do we got? We got 4/3 pi times 3 cubed. So 3 cubed, you might know, is 3 times 3 times 3. Cubing a number means multiplying it by itself 3 times. So you're looking at 4/3 times pi times 27. So I kind of mentioned this earlier in another video. Just throw this over 1 and throw this over 1 also. And then you can multiply everybody together. So 27 times 4 is going to work out to be 108 times pi is 108 pi. Now 3 times 1 times 1 is just 3. But we're wondering, can we divide 108 by 3? Because if you can, then you're supposed to. You're supposed to give me a nice clean answer. So 108 divided by 3, can you actually do it nicely? Yeah, you can. You get 36. So 36 pi cubic feet is the answer to this first question. And hopefully the way we use this formula makes sense. You write the formula, you plug in. That's literally what we've been doing for every single problem. All right, 2. 2's the same. Our volume is still going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. Just be careful. Our radius is not 12. 12 is the whole diameter. So the radius must be 6. So we'll say our volume equals 4/3 times pi times 6 cubed, not squared. So 6 cubed means 6 times 6 times 6. So if your calculator is just a little rinky-dink one, then you can't cube. So the only way, or can you? I don't know. Again, we're supposed to pretend that we have one of my calculators. So I'm taking away all those extra functions. And so suddenly now, if you have to do 6 cubed, you better go 6 times 6 times 6. Yeah, that works. I still never feel comfortable. If I'm you guys, I'm going 6 times 6 equals, getting that 36. Then I go times 6 once more. And I see that 6 cubed is 216. So I can plug that in. I got this 4/3 already. Pi times 216. All right, so one way to deal with the 4/3 is essentially you multiply by 4 first, then you try to divide by 3. So what is 216 times 4? Well, there's 216, so I just say times 4. And apparently it's 864. So it looks like we're getting a volume of 864 pi divided by 3. And what do I get when I try to divide 864 by 3? So divide by 3 equals 288. So since that came out cleanly, I am going to go ahead and do that division and give my final answer as 288 pi. And again, if these are centimeters, make sure you include your units. So these are cubic centimeters. All right, these are pretty easy. I hope you're thinking the same thing. So now we got a sphere with a radius of 7. So we write the formula, 4/3 pi r cubed. Then you substitute 4/3 pi times 7 cubed. So here's what I know. I know that 7 cubed is 343. I also know that I'm going to put this pi over 1, this 343 over 1, and I'm going to multiply everything on top. So I'm going to do 343 times 4. So I go 343 times 4 I get that number, 1,372. Now I see I'm going to want to divide by 3 also. So let me just try that now. If I try to divide by 3, it doesn't work. It doesn't come out cleanly. So that means that we want to keep that old answer, the 1,372. That'll be part of our answer. That'll be times pi in the numerator. And we'll just keep a denominator of 3. Since dividing doesn't come out nicely, just don't divide and leave your answer as this fraction. And again, centimeters means that the volume is in cubic centimeters. And that's that one. Number 4. Number 4 is just another question, basically the exact same as the rest. So just write the formula and then just plug in. And that'll be 10. 10 cubed will be a 1 with 3 zeros, so 1,000 times the 4/3 and times the pi. So over 1, this is just going to be 4,000 pi over 3. And no, you can't divide 4,000 by 3, so you'll just leave this as cubic miles. And that's our answer there. And we're so close. We're almost done with every bit of homework. So what about 5? So 5 is another composite figure, we said. That's what these are called. It says a farmer keeps his grain in the silo shown below. If it were packed full, then how much grain could it hold? So that means we're solving for volume. And that also means we'd want to break this down. We want to find the volume of this little hemisphere, and then we want to add to that the volume of the cylinder. So for the hemisphere, it sounds like we're going to do 4/3 pi r cubed, but that's a whole sphere, so we would need another factor of 1/2, and this will now be a hemisphere. Then we're going to add to that the volume of the cylinder, which is pi r squared times height. So substituting in, well, the 4/3, that's going to be 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6. We can just make that a 4/6. Then we can go pi times the radius. Well, the radius is half of this 21. Let's just go ahead and say 10.5. I don't really feel like messing around with fractions. So 10.5 is fine. You'll cube that. You'll go pi. Your radius is going to be 10.5 again. You'll square that. And then the height of the cylinder is this tall dimension here, which is 70. So a lot of big numbers floating around. So what's this going to be? Well, if you use your scientific basic calculator, then I would do the 10.5 cubed first. So 10.5 times 10.5 equals times 10.5 equals. There's 10.5 cubed. I'd now multiply that by 4 from the numerator of the 4/6. Then I'd divide it by 6. And that's my answer. So it's 771.75. Pi. Still have pi on that. Now to do the other one. Alright, I've got to do it in my calculator again. Let's go back to your calculator. We're doing more work. We're going to do 10.5 squared. So 10.5 times 10.5 equals. Now take that number, multiply it by 70. And I'm getting 7,717.5. Yeah, okay. And that should still involve pi as well. So that means, since these both have pi's, we can just go ahead and add them together. So on our little calculators, we've already got the 7717.5, so we just have to add on the 771.75. So our answer should be 8489.25. Pi. And those are cubic feet. And now here one could make the case that we should probably give a decimal answer. This is a word problem. You typically want to answer word problems as a decimal, so let's actually do this out. So back to the calculator one last time. Here's our coefficient, just multiply it by pi. So times 3.14159. Use as much of pi as you can. And I'm getting 26,669.74. Those are still cubic feet. So again, here's your answer with pi included in your calculation. Here's your answer with pi not included in your calculation, just kind of tacked on at the end. Either one of those answers would be acceptable to me, so whatever you want to do. All right, one last question. Ah, rats, there's two more. Okay, two more questions. Number 6 says, the sphere to the left has a volume of 288 pi, find its radius. Okay, gonna need our formula. We're going to need to substitute in, but we don't know the radius. The only thing we know is the volume, so plug that in. 288 pi equals 4/3 pi r cubed. So here's that problem I warned you about. We need to solve for r. So that means getting r alone. And getting r alone seems to mean dividing by pi first. That's always easy, so let's divide by pi. That'll cancel the pi's and bring us to a 288. That equals 4/3 times r cubed. Now the easiest way to get rid of a fraction is to multiply it by its own reciprocal. So I'll multiply by 3/4, and I'll multiply by 3/4. That's gonna take the 4/3 and the 3/4, and they cancel out. You now have r cubed. Now, to multiply 288 by 3/4, I just do it in 2 steps. You multiply by 3, and then you divide by 4. So on our calculator, let's try that. We'll go 288 times 3, see what that is, then divide that by 4, see what that is. Came out cleanly, that's great. That means we're going with 216. And now to find r, we have r cubed. So we're not going to take the square root. What we need to do is take the cube root, and that'll get the 3 to cancel out. So by taking the cube root, we now have plain old r. But of course we have to do that to the other side too. We have to do a cube root. Now if you have a stinky old calculator like this, then it might not be able to do cube roots at all. So you might have to just do guess and check. So you might think, I don't know, maybe you think 216 is 4 cubed, so you try 4 times 4 times 4 equals. No, that's too small. Try 7. 7 times 7 times 7 equals that. So nope, that's too big. So try 6 times 6 times 6. And there it is. We can see that the cube root of 216 would be 6. Now, if we had a scientific calculator like this, then there's probably a built-in cube root button, but not quite. You see this button here? It's telling you to do just the xth root of y. I'm actually not sure how to do this. 3 cube root 216 equals? Alright, that's wrong. Clear that. So I go 216. Then I tell it I want a root, and I tell it the root that I want is the 3rd root, and then I hit enter? Yeah, okay. That's complicated. you know, if there's cube roots, you guys might just have to guess and check like you saw me do. Try 4 times 4 times 4, too small. Try 5 times 5 times 5, too small. You guys will figure it out. I will show you on your calculator. Again, if you've got a nice graphing calculator, then we can do this very easily. Here we are. So this is from before. In a different video I was mentioning how to do this. You can find cube roots here in the math menu. You click math, and cube root is built right in. It's option 4. If you needed a higher power root, you could use option 5 to get a 7th root or a 10th root or whatever, but we'll only ever need square roots and cube roots. So let's choose option 4. You can just type 4. Oh, I haven't shared my screen yet, sorry. There we go, there's your calculator. Let me quit out. So from the home, to get a cube root, you're hitting math, and then you get all these options. But look, wait a minute. Oh no, there it is. I'm blind. Option 4 is the cube root. So click 4. Now it's asking you cube root. What do you want the cube root of? So you type 216. You hit enter, and it tells you 6. Okay, that's it. So I now know that the cube root of 216 is 6. So 6 must be my radius, and it must be in plain old inches. Alright, just the one left. Let's turn these calculators off. Why'd that not work? Didn't drag it down far enough. Stop. Okay, finally. Alright, let's do 7. It's the last one. So this says the basketball shown is packaged in a box that is in the shape of a cube. Okay, fine, obviously. The edge length of the box is equal to the diameter of the basketball. Okay, sure. That makes sense too. Here's the edge length of the box. And so they're just telling you the basketball must just touch the side of the box. And over here it must just touch the side of the box. So that means the dimension all the way across is equal to 9.5. So now it says, what is the volume of the wasted space inside the box that is not taken up by the ball? So that means we're looking for basically all this empty airspace around the ball, but inside the box. So it seems to me that I'm looking for a volume problem where I need to do the volume of the whole box and then subtract from that the volume of the sphere. And that would leave you with all the extra room around the outside. So I hope you remember that to find the volume of this cube would be doing base times height, the dimensions of the base, times the height of the prism. Just a prism. Now for the sphere we got to do 4/3 pi r cubed. So let's substitute in our values. Some of these values are going to be ugly, but the base of the box is 9.5. The height of the box is 9.5 too. And then the height of the whole prism is, you guessed it, 9.5. Now we subtract from this 4/3 pi some radius cubed. So what's the radius? Well, the radius would just be half of 9.5. Now that's going to be an ugly decimal, but that's okay. Half of 9.5 is 4.75. So guess what? For this problem, you can just go ahead and use decimals. It's fine. We're trying to just get an approximation anyway. So to get back to my calculator, I go here, I clear. So we said we need 9.5 cubed. That'll be 9.5 times 9.5 equals times another 9.5. So you're getting 857.375. So write that down. So that's the volume of the cube. Now for the sphere, we got to do 4/3 times pi times 4.75. So if all we've got is the scientific, that's fine. We could still handle this. We do 4.75 times 4.75 equals. Now that's only if I multiply twice. If I'm cubing, I got to do it again. 4.75 equals. So there it is. Now we said to multiply by 4/3, just take this and multiply by 4, and then take that and divide by 3. And that's the same as multiplying by 4/3. Now even still, I would say I'm not done, because I don't want to leave my answer in terms of pi. I do just want to get down to a final answer. So let's actually now take this number and multiply it by 3.14. Now remember, that's not enough. You got to use more. So 3.14159 equals, and I'm getting 448.92. 0.9201 even, let's say. Alright, but whatever. I want to do the subtraction now, so back to our calculator. You guys should know that you don't actually have to do 857 blah 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 minus 448. If you did 448 minus 857, you'd get the same answer, just with a negative sign on it, and you can just take the negative sign off. So rather than typing this mess all over again, just leave it on the screen and hit minus. And then do the 857. 0.375. And hit enter. Now it's going to tell you it's negative, so just ignore the negative. You know it's not really negative. But that right there is our answer. I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places like I'm supposed to. So that means I'm getting 408.45. And then a 4, and then an 8, and then a 7895. But again, if I want you rounding to 2 places, then the only thing you look at is the third. Forget this. None of that exists. Just the 4. And since 4 is less than 5, we know we're not going to round up. We're just going to cut it all off. So our final answer should be that the volume is 408.45. And our measurement was in inches, so these are cubic inches. And that's it, everybody. That's 5 homeworks down. At the end of these 5 homeworks, you better be feeling pretty good. You better be feeling ready. So I don't know. I hope it helps, and I hope you all do well. I'll see you Monday, and we'll find out. See ya.